Today I'm going to tell you a story about what I call the GE spot. The GE spot. Michael McLean Coach. I'm going to share with you one of the most powerful copywriting, advertising, and marketing secrets that I ever learned. And I did not learn this secret until about 4 years ago, and it has transformed my ability to make money in less time. The glorious GE spot. So, this is cool weather for Naples, not for a Canuck like me, but we're into the low 60s here, and I love my fellow Floridians walking around with hats and toques and gloves. God bless them. The only cool month they have is January, but sure beats minus 20 in Canada. So I am incredibly grateful, and I feel incredibly blessed to be here in Naples in January. So let me tell you a story about how I discovered this incredible concept called the GE spot. When I used to sit down and write copy, whether I was writing a postcard, a flyer, a chapter for a book, it could be a speech, it could be a script for my receptionist, it could be my website. Whenever I was sitting down and writing copywriting, by the way, it was explained to me one time by the great John Carlton. It's words into money, Michael. It's words into money. It's the way to get rich as sin slowly. It's the skill that can make you rich as sin. And it's the skill you take anywhere with you. No matter where you want to live, no matter what you want to do, you have the skill to turn words into money. So I used to sit down and write, and the job sometimes would take an hour. Sometimes it would take me an hour to write an email. Sometimes it would take me an hour to write an article for the newsletter. Sometimes it would take me 3 hours to write a certain part. It was just endless. I was spending hours and hours and hours each week because I did not have a finish line. So I learned this secret from one of the world's greatest old school copywriters. And he taught me, he said, Michael, the reason you're spending so much time writing copy is that you don't have a GE spot. So I said, what the hell is a GE spot? And he said to me, good enough. Good enough. He said, when do you decide to stop writing something? And I said, well, I decide to stop writing copy when it's good enough, it's done. He's like, the clock should decide when you're done. The clock should decide when you're done. That's a writer downer, by the way, on one of these index cards. The clock. He said to me, when you're out of clock, it's done. In other words, if we're being punctual and we're using real-time management, let's say your hour is worth $500. It has to be. Let's say your hour is worth $1,000. It has to be. Well, then as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a CEO, okay, you're working on the clock. So when you're writing an article or a blog post or an email, okay, you need to get in the habit of using the GE spot, the good enough spot, where you set a timer. There's nothing that I don't time. I time all of my writing. When I sit down every day and I write one email, I set a timer. I used to set the timer for half an hour. Now I set it for 10 minutes. Doesn't make any difference. When the timer goes off, I'm done. That's it, that's all. The clock says when I'm done. Then I might have to write a telegram, which I send to my diamond subscribers. and I have to write a telegram every week. So in that case, to write a telegram, I set the timer for 40 minutes. Every week I sit down, I know what I'm going to write about, and I set the timer for 40, and I start writing. And I write the telegram, I proof it, I print it off and read it, I fix it up as best I can. It's not perfect. And when ding, my egg timer goes, I don't use an iPhone timer. I don't have my iPhone anywhere near me. So I use an old school kitchen timer. When the 40 minutes goes off, the clock says I'm done. I don't give it one more minute. I can't. My hour has to be worth $4,000. Well, if my hour's worth $4,000, I can't be sitting there, groping over a telegram or an email or a sales letter. I give it the time it deserves, and I'm done. Every email has a finish time of 10 minutes. And then after that, my business partner, Mark Andre, fix any mistakes, any typos. He does the editing. I don't edit. I write it, and then he edits it, and it's out the door. That's how you're going to become massively consistent when it comes to your copywriting and your marketing and your advertising. My God, people like the Einstein used to say, I grope, when he was referring to his work. I don't work, Einstein said. He goes, I grope. Well, so many copywriters and marketers and advertisers, they grope forever on their stuff. They look at the email, they write it, they come back to it, and all of a sudden, they haven't sent an email in a month. You just got to use the GE spot as your go-to because it gets you stuff out the door. And here's an insider secret that nobody will tell you, okay? When I set the clock for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 40 minutes and I write something, there's lots of times where the ding, and I'm like, fuck. I'm not done. It's good, but it's not good enough. This is where the GE spot really takes your business to the next level. When the timer goes, I gotta send it to Mark to put the polish on it. And he won't spend much time on it. I'm talking about typos. He's not changing the structure and like that. Do you know those ones where I wanted to spend more time on it, and I would have spent more time on it in the past, but where I have the discipline now of the GE spot, good enough is good enough? Those are some of the best, most profitable, money-drenching emails, telegrams, newsletter articles, videos, whatever that I've ever produced. In fact, the more rushed I am to beat the clock, there's some of my best writings. I don't know why, it doesn't matter why, but it just shows you that, you know what, the GE spot, it's the opposite. I call it the opposite of being one of those government bootlicking bureaucrats. You know, those people that they watch the clock and that's their life. I got 7 years and 11 months and 13 days and 6 hours to retirement. You know, those government bootlickers. Well, a government bootlicker is a clock watcher, right? Like there's that fact of life where time is a vacuum, right? So if you give yourself 3 days to write an email, it's going to take 3 days to write an email. That's just like a bureaucrat with red tape. Like time is a vacuum, and the job at hand will expand to fill that, right? So when you give yourself like half an hour to write an email, or you give yourself, you put the clock on for 35 minutes to write one article, or whatever it is, a phone script for your receptionist, and then you apply the discipline of the GE spot, where when that timer goes, you're done. This is going to help you get your ass in gear. And you're going to be the opposite of these bootlicking bureaucrats. Could you imagine if you put those guys or gals on a clock? We would double productivity. We would 10x productivity. But see, you want to do the exact opposite, because those people, that's why they get nothing done. That's why a bureaucrat gets nothing done. That's why a politician gets nothing done. That's why a unionized worker gets nothing done. They don't have the power of the GE spot. An entrepreneur like you, a founder like you, a small business owner like you don't have time to sit in your cubicle with your feet up. You don't have time to be buying shit on Amazon instead of working. You don't have time to be playing fantasy football instead of working, because you're the hero in the story. You're all in on this, and this GE spot is going to help you. It's going to save you like 10 hours a week. When it's done, it's done. And remember what I said. The clock says when you're done. And it's hard sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to send that. I don't think it's good enough. And I send it to Marc-Andre, and the thing's at the printer's within 2 hours, or it's being emailed or whatever. Good enough is good enough. And it's going to be some of your best work. So give yourself, copious amounts of time. If you give yourself a half hour to write an email, you're eventually going to get that down to 20 minutes a day, and down to 15. I started like 30 minutes for an email, and now I got it down to 10. But here's the secret, and here's the rule you need to apply. Okay, get one of those egg timers, those kitchen timers. Don't be using technology that's going to interfere with your focus. Because if you're going to use the GE spot, you can't be doing anything else. You can't be fucking around on anti-social media. You can't be watching, Stephen A. Smith on ESPN tell you tales about how he wasn't a basketball player. You can't be doing that stuff. So when you sit down and you set the timer, you've got laser focus. You write, and that's it. You don't check your phone, you don't check texts. You do one thing because the clock is ticking. And remember the rule. The clock, when you're out of clock, you're out of clock. It's no different than anything else. If I have an hour practice with my hockey players, when I'm out of clock, the practice is over. In the weight room, when I'm out of clock, the practice is over. When I'm doing a phone consultation back in the day, when it hits 60 minutes, we're out of clock. It's the same with everything. Using those kitchen timers to your advantage is just absolutely massive. So if you want to learn, take this kind of stuff deeper. I've been talking about it all week till I'm almost blue in the face, but I'm starting another monthly print newsletter. I know. You're killing more trees and I'm going to leave a bigger footprint than I already have. But damn it, I love copywriting. And it's my shtick right now. It's my thing, right? It's what I'm studying. So if you want to hang out with me each and every month, I'm putting together, starting in February, a kick-ass and take names monthly paper. It's a print newsletter. I'm going to mail it to your house or your business. And it's not going to be thick or anything like that. It's going to be 8 to 12 pages. You can read it in 30 minutes. But this is the kind of stuff I'm going to be teaching each and every month. I'm going to be teaching storytelling. I'm going to be breaking down one of the old school ads every month, the greatest print advertisements in history. In February, I'm going to break down Gary Halbert's #1 ad. Also going to be teaching about how to shoot videos, how to be a persuasive and influencer in terms of marketing. And basically, I'm going to teach you each month how to turn words into money. So you can write yourself a kitchen rental. You can write yourself a gym membership. You can write yourself a new car. But I'm telling you right now, like things like the GE spot that I'll share each month, they're game changers. If you subscribe today, the link is below. It's badasscopy.coach. Badasscopy.coach. And all I'm doing is I'm sharing every month what I'm doing in terms of copy, marketing, and advertising. It's all marketing, copy, and advertising. This newsletter isn't going to make you a better father. It's not going to make you a better husband. It's not going to save your marriage. It's not going to save any baby seals, and it's not going to virtue signal, or it's not going to make you a better person. But it has the potential over time to make you rich as sin. Nothing loftier than that. Like, why am I walking in Naples right now? I'm a Canadian. Why am I walking? Why am I homeschooling my daughter? Why am I going to go sit in the hot tub after this? How can I afford a $200 an hour math and chess coach for my daughter? Well, I can do it because I'm a copywriter. And my hour is worth $4,000. I work most days 3 to 4, maximum 5 hours. And most of the time I'm writing or shooting videos. But I can live anywhere in the world. I can write myself a swimming pool. I can write myself a home in Naples. I can write myself a chartered private jet. I want to bring my parents here. I just write myself that trip for them. But it's all comes down to that ability to write copy, where I can sit down and I can put my fingers on the laptop on my MacBook and literally turn words into money. Sometimes it's a video. This is words into money. An email is words into money. Social media is words into money. Your newsletter is words into money. Your website copy was words into money. Giving a speech at the Rotary Club is words into money. Man, oh man, what a skill to have in your back pocket as you retire or semi-retire. And whenever somebody sends you an invoice or a bill, you can literally sit down and you can literally pay that bill by sitting down and copywriting, turning words into money. If you sign up today, I'm going to knock off 50 fat dollars for you a month. It's expensive. I don't want just ordinary Tom, Dick, and Sally's in this. This is for people that really are serious about getting rich as sin slowly. This is not hacks and shortcuts and for the Facebook fanboys, none of that stuff. It's $300 a month. I'll ship it to your home or your office. It's a paper and ink newsletter. I'll knock $50 off, so I'll bring it down to $249. I literally made this up too. I didn't know what the hell I was going to charge. What do you charge for copywriting? Something that's going to, you're going to have your ROI immediately. Doesn't matter if I charge $1,000 or $200. If you take this stuff to heart and you use it every month, what does it matter how much it charges? But I like the number $249, so I'm going to give that to my list every single month, and long as you subscribe today. And the other thing too is if you sign up below today, badasscopy.coach, I'm going to throw in the Doberman Dan closed door copywriting training. This is the training he did with my heavyweight champions of the world, my champion mastermind members, Bill Gaw and Stephen Ivanko and Paul Nolte, David Linton, Leanne was in there, Mark Andre, my business partner. And those people pay $30,000 to be in this mastermind. And this was the only expert that I brought in the whole year. I don't bring in guys that I'm not certain about, but my pal Doberman, man, he's a different cat. Gary Halbert moved in with him. And the stories in this training will blow the doors off. It's next level. He's from a different planet. And you can ask any of those heavyweight champions that I have in the mastermind. They're like, Michael, that might have been the best 2 hours we did this whole year. Holy shit, that guy is a cleaner. And I'm going to throw that in as a free bonus. If you subscribe today, you'll get the full 2 hours. It's me interviewing him. It's him sharing ideas you've never heard anywhere else. The Halbert stories are insane. Those two guys living together, bachelors, and just crazy, crazy stuff. But man, talk about turn words into money. If Halbert wanted a new boat, he'd sit down and write one. If he wanted a new condo in the Keys, he'd sit down and write one. If he wanted to travel to Europe for a while, he'd sit down and write it. So Doberman Dan, I'll throw that in as well. That's a closed door training. Nobody has seen that but my heavyweight champion. So if you subscribe at badasscopy.coach today, then I'll throw that in as a nice, fat, sweet bonus. That's it. I got nothing else to say. I'm gonna go back to the house. I'm gonna sit in the spa, the hot tub, and if it stops raining, I'm gonna do a rollerblade with my daughter later this afternoon. So just keep that GE spot in mind. The clock says when you're done. Everything the clock says when you're done, especially copywriting. And remember what the great Bill Glazier told me. He said, Michael, you're out of clock, done. Out of clock, done. Probably the most punctual person I ever learned from in my life. I was in Bill's $30,000 mastermind. Man, talk about GE spot. Good enough is good enough. That's it. The link is below, badasscopy.coach. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that can change yours. Be relentless.